I was a teacher in England for 5 years. I came back to Romania with the hope of having a positive impact in this society and started to work in the social services to help vulnerable people and help the institution to access European funds. I was a European funds consultant in this public authority. It was part of the public authority actually of Constanța. I didn't really manage to leave an impact there due to the bureaucracy, excessive bureaucracy in the system. And I decided, the war started at the same time and I wanted to take part. They let me take part of the response of the, like helping people, collecting donations. I was part of this process in the beginning when Ukrainians started coming in Constanța. And of course I had to go back to my normal duties and I decided to quit and to fully focus on helping Ukrainians that fled Ukraine from the war. And of course I didn't have a lot of money, actually I had no money. And I lived in Bucharest for 5 days. I had to find an NGO. I was visiting a lot of NGOs and organizations in Bucharest. Between all of those, one of them was World Vision that trusted in me and in my capabilities, and me that trusted in them and their vision for the world. Like No Child Left Behind, helping people, very good humanitarian background in a lot of projects all over the world. So we did a match, of course. We started collaborating. I signed a contract with them. I came to Constanța because my goal was to bring them to Constanța to help here. And we came here, we found this location, we rented it, and this way we were capable of accessing projects from all over the world, from United Kingdom, from United States, from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand. We had projects in here, even projects from Korea and from Japan we had. So we're very lucky that we were part of a group of people in the world that desire to help children and people. And they're not impacted by any political views or personal, let's say, prejudices. So this is where we are now, almost 3 years later, 70,000 people later. So through Constanța there have been 70,000 people. There is a flux of 12,000 that are like a normal, like stable population, but Constanța is more of an intermediary point, like, let's say, it's a transit point for most of the Ukrainians that come to Romania and are going to Europe. So they come to Constanța, they settle down, they make a plan and they move forward in Europe or in Romania, depending on their situation, how much money they have, or plans, relatives, friends, where they are. Yeah, I think shortly that's a small explanation of how we got here.
So you said you quit your job with the local authority and things. So I guess what made you do that, and why do you think you personally got so involved in this?
Well, it's a matter of belief, of values, and I really believed in the fight of the Ukrainian people and in their cause. And I identify myself with their values, and I wanted to be part of that system and support them as much as I can. That's why, because of course working in the public authority and helping people was nice, but in the same time I didn't have like a very big impact. And I just wanted to be part of this process of helping all of them, because there were not a lot of organizations that wanted to do this in Constanța. And once World Vision came here, we brought with us a lot of other organizations that are now still existing here and helping people. On a smaller scale, of course, because the funding was reduced proportionally in the past year. But it's a matter of values, I would say. So, common values like democracy, fight for freedom, helping children that need help, families that need help. So I think about Ukrainians not as Ukrainians but as human beings. There is no difference in helping any other nation. I think I would have done the same for any other nation in the world. It's about helping people, not helping Ukrainians.
Okay. And in terms of the impact that it's had on you, obviously you're saying 3 years on, how do you...
Well, it has a lot of impact on me, this process of, this humanitarian process, or action that we're doing here in Constanța. I don't really have time to breathe or take a breath in this, to just reflect upon things. It's a continuous process of crisis management. There's always a crisis, always something to do, always someone that needs help, and it just didn't give me time, this activity that we have here, to just analyze the things that we've done or that we need to do further. So it's exhausting, I would say. It's been a long time, it's been a lot of people. We have a small team, not a lot of funding, and we're trying to optimize all the money that we have. So with $1 as example, if it's given for one person, we try to help 4 or 5. So we try to optimize everything in order to help as many people as possible. And yeah, it had an impact. This, let's say, choosing like who you can help, who not, because projects come with different targets of people, different indicators, and of course we don't like it, but if a donor decides to help, as example, children, we need to follow the indications of the donor and of course help children. So it's difficult sometimes to just do this triage of people in order for you to be able to help them, being so many, but we do it. We have a system and we follow the conditions of the donors, of the local laws, national laws, international laws, and international humanitarian standards as well that we're very attached to. And eventually everything goes well and we reach common sense in this process. So, yeah.
But it's a huge personal commitment, and I guess you're here face to face with people in a way that the donors aren't. So, I mean, that must take its toll as well, I guess.
It is. I would say there is a bit of transfer of trauma. I don't want to exaggerate, but we get in touch with a lot of people. They have a lot of experiences from Ukraine, from the war zone, even from unoccupied areas. There's always shelling, there's always rockets, there's always bombing. There is continuous care in the population that is there. That what's going to happen next? Is the next bombardment going to hit my house, my neighbors, my friends, my relatives? And I think this anxiety, stress and trauma, it's of course transferred to us as well, the staff that were working to help displaced Ukrainians. So we try our best to find ways of detaching from the situations, but again, we're human beings and we care about every person that comes to our door, and doing that, I think, makes us more open towards trauma and the impact of what they live in Ukraine, what they go through there. So, yeah.
And of course you're on the Black Sea as well, which has been a kind of focal point for some of the war as well. And does that play a role, I guess, with the location of Constanța itself?
It does, unfortunately. So we had like frequent aerial alarms, even in Constanța. And it's not easy because people come here to feel safe, Ukrainians come here to feel safe, to feel as a second home. And when they hear this, they get traumatized. Even from fireworks, people get very scared. So we try our best to inform them and to just bring some comfort to them and tell them, don't worry, everything is okay, we are protected, it's just an alarm, it will pass. But the reality is, of course, we have a border with a country that is in war. And of course there would be some signs of that war, even here seen to us. We're 100 kilometers away from a country that is in war, actually 80 kilometers. So we feel it as well. We feel it, even if we ignore it sometimes, and we just, we fall on our safety. Like we're not very worried because we're in NATO, we have a military base in Constanța, everything's going to be alright, nothing's going to happen to us. So I think we're very comfortable with our position and in the world, and that's why people don't get very worried. But we need to remember that we're in war. So we're in war as well. We have a neighbor that is in war. That impacts us. We're in war. So that means we need to protect ourselves as well because of this neighbor, and it's not because of Ukraine. It's because of Russians' actions that we need to be, let's say, take some measures to protect ourselves. But again, we're not worried. We're here under an umbrella of safety, we hope. It's just that we need to, I don't know, we need to just work together, find a common ground, find a way towards giving good values to people. That's all we can do. As an NGO, we don't have so much of an impact on this situation. So we try to send people good values, positive values towards their children, towards them, and we hope this is going to work. So, yeah.
So in terms of, one of the things you do is support with material needs of people who have been displaced as well. So can you tell us a bit about their material needs and how that's changed over the 3 years as well?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the material needs depend a lot on the vulnerability categories that we have in this community, like for children, for adults, for elderly, for disabled. So hygiene kits are, of course, the universal help that everyone needs, and with the help of our partner from UNHCR, of our British partners from Disaster Emergency Committee, TEC as well, we try to provide some comfort and relief in that. Same for school children. We have a program now that offers hygiene kits, educational kits, and food vouchers for children that attend Romanian schools. Mm-hmm. So again, this category, we take it seriously because we as an organization, we want to, we actually have in our statute, in our, let's say, agenda to help children. This is our main goal in the world. That's why we were created, to help children. So that's why we're focusing on this as well. But at the same time, we cannot ignore other categories. So besides children, we try to help all the vulnerable categories in the context with food vouchers mostly. We did in the beginning food items, but it was very difficult from a logistical point of view to provide so much food to so many people. So food vouchers just provide the easy way for people to choose what they want to buy, and for us not to just provide them things that we consider they need. So based on the needs assessment that we had, because we continuously evaluate the needs of the people in Constanța, that's why we know what they need. We ask them, and they tell us it would be better to have food vouchers or to have food, to have hygiene, and they decide, and we take decisions accordingly. So beside food, physical food, food vouchers, hygiene kits, school backpacks, school resources. We provide as well laptops for a number of 9 schools in the area of Constanța to equip their laboratories in order for Ukrainian children that are in those schools to have good chances on education. And as well, we facilitated the process of online schooling for children. In the library of Constanța, we offered them 100 laptops. We donated to them 100 laptops, and children were able to go there and do online schooling in this library. So other logistical support that we offered, or let's say resources that we offered to people and / organizations, I would say, was with let's say toilets, showers for the summer. Some people were coming from the war and didn't have the chance to get in any place to get a normal shower, and we just put them in some public places, even at the border, and they were able to have proper hygiene and take care of themselves. We did a lot, clothes as well, with the help of other partners from Bucharest. We provided winter clothes, summer clothes for children, shoes, school supplies, unlimited to so many schools in Constanța as well. Even money support for some schools that in the winter didn't have money to pay for the bills of heat or water. So basically we try to help where it was needed and where there were vulnerable Ukrainians in need. Yeah.
So as there, you said you did a needs assessment to sort of, refresh, I guess, what you offer, and were there things that surprised you, I guess, about? Oh,
One moment from the light. Sorry.
Don't look at the lights.
Don't step into the
So
light.
It's really nice actually.
Типа,
Okay.
next step, suffer.
I see you have.
Suffer.
I just look at you. I see you on your glasses.
Следующий шаг мучений.
But I
Is that
hear
good?
it.
Да, it's better.
Yeah. So from the that they needed.
Well, the needs assessment that we do, they're very elaborate. That means we let people freedom of choice in terms of things that they need. So we offer them options, like generalities, like for example hygiene kit, food vouchers, educational resources, and they can as well put their own needs that they have there. But I would say the most elaborate needs, they're for people with disabilities. They need like special equipment, special medicines, people with chronic diseases as well that need special treatment, special doctors and medications that sometimes are not available in Romania in the same composition that they are in Ukraine. So in terms of that, I would say this is like one of the most challenging need that we had. It's just that in our project, unfortunately, we didn't have that much medical support. Family doctor, of course, and basic medical needs, but not medicines and specialists, money for specialists. So we tried to refer the people that we identified to other NGOs that do have this type of funding in Constanța and in Romania. So we're trying to help. Where we identify a need, even if we cannot solve it, we're trying to refer it to other organizations that are able to do that. So, yeah.
And you mentioned actually other NGOs and working with other NGOs. Do you think the displacement has changed kind of the capacity and the work of NGOs in Romania and also civil society more generally?
Of course, it did, because of a lot of international funding that came to Romania and a lot of NGOs and public institutions that had to adapt their policies to meet the requirement of those donors. So good requirements, because international requirements we're talking about humanitarian standards that Romania was not very aware of. Like, we don't have an ecosystem or infrastructure that is ready to welcome refugees. Western countries, of course, they're used to it. They do this for 20, 30 years, and of course they have mechanisms and social, let's say, social mechanisms to deal with this kind of situations. But Romania has a weak social system, very vulnerable, because we have a lot of vulnerable people as well, and our system was, let's say, overwhelmed by this crisis and by the Ukrainian people that came to Romania. So this overwhelming came in different forms: reducing of financing for Romanian community, disparities between Romanian communities and Ukrainian communities. It's just that things now are getting very close to being normalized. We're getting on this stage where Ukrainians find jobs in Romania, they open businesses in Romania, they find ways of living here comfortably, and it gets easier and easier for them to have a normal life. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of, you were talking about funding is shrinking, but still seemingly there is need for certain parts of the Ukrainian community, I guess. So
Yeah.
you talk to us a little bit about, some of those challenges, I guess.
Yeah, I think even if funding was reduced, we're always, as an organization, trying to adapt the funding that we get in order to be able to help the same number of people. So we always try to optimize all the money, as I told you, all the money that we get through our organization. And of course, even if it's less, we still help everyone that needs this help, and that really, it's in the vulnerable categories that we established as an organization and that donors established for us. But I would say just for educational activities that require a big logistical effort, we did reduce the groups for children and for educational activities, and those are very necessary. Education is the most important thing in the world, especially in those times that we live in of insecurity. So I think that even basic needs are very important, like having a job, having money to pay rent and to pay for your food and for family sustenance. As well, I don't think education should fall on the second place. Education should be as well one of the top priorities of every society and community and organizations in the world. So we're expecting now for people to realize this, NGOs to realize this, our donors even, to change the strategy, because we really see in the field what does education mean for people and for children, because there are children that lost 2 years in the COVID of schooling, and they're losing now because of the war 3, 4, 5 years more, who knows. And what does it mean for a country like Ukraine? It means we'll not have engineers, it means we'll not have doctors, people that can rebuild Ukraine. So you're losing generations of professionals, and they will lack those kind of professionals to rebuild, and it will take a longer time for them to get back on track. And even for us as a country, for Romania, if Ukrainians will remain in Romania, the ones that will remain in Romania, that will not go back to Ukraine, will need to get an education, get qualified, and be an integral part of our community, of our society. And we expect for this part, because it's we live in a very competitive and modern world, as you know. So we expect, society expects, and companies and the world, for them to be professionals and to be competitive. And in order to be competitive, of course, education comes in, qualifications, superior studies. So that's why we see from this, we as World Vision, an important and integral part. But of course, we are very grateful to the donors for all the support that they're giving to us, because there is not much going around, as I said. So everything is important that comes to us. It's just we see as well education as a priority as an organization, World Vision. So we hope more will come in the future. We're now actually trying to access European funds in order to address this gap in financing for education. For qualification courses, we're trying to get money from European funds. We're trying as well for remedial education to have a more impact towards Romanian schools that host Ukrainian children in Constanța. Until now it's working. We have good signals that European funds would be available to us, and we will be able to win and access this money from those financing sources. So I would say from donors' point of view, of course they should focus on education, but at the same time we have other means of achieving this goal, and we're on the way of improving this process of development of services.
So that takes me on to the question, I guess, about the future, because, I mean, you did all this work in the beginning.
After the first year of intervention in Constanța, I would say we were not an emergency response unit anymore. We were focusing on the future. So between 2022-23, of course, we were on crisis response. So of course, helping people a lot and intervening in where they need help. But we started with a strategy from 2023 to think about the future, to come and evaluate the needs of the people and see what can we do or how we can improve their life in order for them to think about their future and perspectives as well. But it's been a challenge, I would say, because people accepted very hard the reality that they will not go back home. So even now, after almost 3 years, we're still in the process of convincing people to take part in the society, get a job, open a business, continue with their life, because they put everything on hold. So the future is coming, even if we want it or not. And we will get them ready for this. We'll do our best to get as many people as possible ready. We are translating for them diplomas, equivalating diplomas, integrating in workplaces, and some of them are really professionals. They're doing a great job. Some of them don't really manage to integrate. They need to take things from a lower level. So they will be forced, Ukrainians in Romania and in Constanța as well, to take part of this process, start working and rebuilding here in order for them to be able later to rebuild in Ukraine. Because you cannot put your life on hold hoping everything will be all right. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that's all my questions, but I always ask Svilana and Svilana if they've got any, but if you answer them, you still have to look at me, I'm afraid.
We had that many people. We had Tatar people, the minority from Crimea,
Mhm.
and that is it. I have to think a lot about it and analyze the documents, but I think from the like noticeable Roma community as well we had from Ukraine and Tatar people. But beside that, they're not, but they're like ethnics, but still Ukrainian citizens. So I would not say we had other nationalities coming through our center. Yeah. Actually, there were Russians unofficially saying, yeah, cut off. Wow.
Ready, action.
So, oh, this is really long.
So, from the beginning of the war since now, the opinion of the Romanian community did change drastically, I would say. But this was influenced a lot about the discrepancies in terms of accessing same type of services. Romanians accessing the same type of services as Ukrainians. And in the same time, it was a matter, and it still is, of PR. Like, there were a lot of money paid to Romanian businesses during the first 2 years of the conflict in order for them to host refugees, Ukrainian citizens. And they did. They got a lot of money. Even in Mamaia, we have hundreds of hotels that took in Ukrainian people. And they got a lot of money during the winter months in which they never worked in. And those money came actually back in Romanian business and Romanian society. And actually the Romanian people think that those money were taken by Ukrainians, but they got back into society. And it started like this, from this rent program that we had, the government support program. It's just that, again, it was a matter of public perception. They didn't need the reality, because Ukrainians don't keep this money. They never touched it. They were given directly to the owners of the hotels. And they brought millions and maybe probably hundreds of millions of euro to them during these crisis years. But again, we as a democracy, we're vulnerable to those kind of manipulations. And I really think that we should be more clear with the public regarding spending, even all types of spending, because transparency brings people closer to public institutions. When you don't have transparency, they go further away from you as a public institution. So I think, of course, Romanian people got further from helping Ukrainian people, because in the beginning it was a huge positive feeling towards Ukrainians. Everyone wanted to host Ukrainians, to help them with anything they could, but not working on public perception and let it slip brought us in this situation where we are now, that I cannot say. And people are influenced through political channels to hate Ukrainians, to put them in a bad light, but it's not like that. We have here in Constanța Ukrainians, 85% of Ukrainians in Constanța that have superior studies, a university diploma. It's unprecedented. I don't think there is a country in Europe that has so many people with a graduate diploma, with a university diploma. So we see we have here professional people, prepared people that are ready to contribute to this society. They're qualified people, most of them. So it's a shame that we as a society are isolating those people, and we're not trying to bring them in, to consider them as an asset, because they are. It's just that I think with time, society, people, political parties, everyone involved in this process and that has a word to say, will realize how important it is to integrate Ukrainian people and make them an important part of our society. Sorry, I think
It's okay, it's really live. And again, question. Could you say what the Ukrainian war in Ukraine this war changed your personal life?
Oh my God. You come with all the touchy questions now.
No, maybe only thesis.
Okay. You left her behind because you knew, yeah?
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, no, okay. Okay, so tell me when can I answer.
Yes.
My personal life. Well, I didn't really have a personal life since the war started. All my energy was focused toward helping people, helping Ukrainians that need help, and trying to provide them as much chances as possible to be part of this society that we live in, and to have a happy, safe life. That was my main goal from the beginning. Unfortunately, I did ignore all of my personal life, even my family. I see them very often, even if they live like only 50, 60 kilometers away. Friends, I didn't really have time to go out that much. I had only a few holidays, like 1 or 2 holidays per year that I should have relaxed in, but I always think about how to help them, and always answering to people, always trying to be part of this process of helping them. So, well, my life was impacted a lot. My health as well. I'm wearing glasses now. I didn't wear glasses in the beginning. I don't have them with me because I broke them. I need to go and pick them up. I put a lot of weight in this time. I didn't eat properly, didn't sleep properly a lot, unfortunately. So there's a lot of things. I bought my apartment in 2021. And I wanted to renovate it, but imagine it's been 3 years and I didn't have time to finish renovating my apartments. There's always something, even in the weekends. I'm trying to isolate myself and have some time for myself, but it's so impossible. I wish it would be possible, but there's always something, and you cannot just say no, you cannot just turn your head and pretend the situation is not there. You need to do it, you need to help them. This is how I'm built. Like, I think it's a problem of, it's a personal problem. Yeah. If I know someone needs help, I have to be there and support them in any capacity.
What did you lose and what did you gain?
Gain. What did you lose and what did you gain?
Are you asking ChatGPT because he's challenging me? Like, oh, what did I lost? I lost a lot of friends in this crisis, Romanian friends that don't agree in helping Ukrainians, but again, I see as people that need help. I see them in this situation, and I'm not very prejudicial. It's just that I come from London. I was a teacher there. London, I think, is the most inclusive society in the world. So, like, I was re-educated in London, even if it sounds wrong, but in a good way. I taught a lot of good. I learned a lot of good values in London, and I taught a lot of good values. So I would say I lost friends. I lost personal time. I always was going to concerts, going to sports events. Didn't really have time to do that anymore. Not even to read. Yeah, I really like to read, to watch movies. Movies I watch sometimes, but not as much as before. Even to write, I like to write a lot. I have even 3 books that I didn't finish, that I wanted to finish. So yeah, one of them I already started in London. I said, okay, I'll finish in Romania, but didn't really have time to do that. So what I gained, well, I gained new friends. Ukrainians are great people. I gained a lot of good new values. Ukrainians have good values, positive democratic values, smart, intelligent, perseverant people. They don't give up. Very strict people, and with very, let's say, they're very strict people with very high standards in everything. And I like that a lot about them. And I think I gained as well more understanding about how the world works and what's our role in this world, and it should be to help each other, to help people. So I got, let's say, more heart than I had before. I always cared about people, but in this position that I have now for World Vision, this took another level. Just took another level. Yeah. That's it.
And last question, maybe about Ukrainian teenagers. What do you think about adaptation Ukrainian teenagers in this town, and for what do you know?
Well, we had a lot of, let's say, initiative in helping teenagers in Constanța, but there is always a challenge with the teenagers. Language courses didn't work for them. movies worth and social events worth a lot for the Ukrainian teenagers, but it's very difficult for them to adapt to this society. It's a new world for them. They just, even if they're in high school or finish high school, it's difficult for them to accept the new reality, to learn the language, to find their way basically. So they have big challenges. I think from all children, teenagers have the biggest challenges in finding their way in Constanța. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great.
I'm finished.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Whew, that was so long.
Well, I said, how
Okay,
long
the
you want
lawyer
to talk?
told. Andrei.
Oh no.